In this video, we're going to talk about another one of my favorite topics, WordPress, particularly WordPress and SEO. As many of you know, I've been programming WordPress themes and plugins for several years now, so I've spent a lot of time with this platform. And in my opinion, it truly is an amazing innovation in web design for several reasons. Let's list a few quick ones now. Why is WordPress so cool? Number one, it's got a huge community of users, it's easy to use, and it's free. We can see in this pie chart that WordPress is by far the most popular content management system in the world. Even way back in 2012, just 9 years after its release, WordPress was already running on 60 million websites. And again, it's free, so that's a big deal. It's one of the biggest things to happen to the industry in the last decade. Now, on the other side of the coin, WordPress does have some limitations. It's not perfect, no software is. It's important to realize that WordPress wasn't designed by SEO guys. So right out of the box, there are several unique SEO issues to be aware of. Recall that previously we've gone over the importance of image optimization, the importance of preparing your images for the web before you upload them to your website. This next video is related. WordPress and WordPress SEO are a big part of this class, so we're going to talk about one very widely used and commonly misunderstood WordPress feature, the WordPress Media Library. It's the set of forms and functions that WordPress uses to handle your images or other media that you upload to your website. If you do anything at all with WordPress or web images, you want to watch this video because whenever you insert any sort of picture into WordPress, you'll be interacting with this. Now, the good news is the WordPress Media Library is powerful and very flexible, but the bad news is it's extremely confusing, even to professionals. There is a lot of misinformation out there. Here's just one example I found on WPBeginner.com. WP Beginner is a huge WordPress tutorial website. Their sole mission is to teach people how to use WordPress. And in this article, they're talking about WordPress image SEO, and they say, using both the alt text and title attribute improves the performance of your images in search engines. That's wrong. The image's title attribute is not considered an SEO. Then they say it also helps many users with special needs to be able to understand your web pages. That's wrong too. That's not the title attribute's job. That's the job of the alt attribute. So incorrect statements like this are very, very common online, and even WordPress's own documentation doesn't help much. So in this video, I'm going to try to convey to you exactly how to properly handle WordPress images from both a usability and an SEO perspective. So let's start with a typical case study. Let's say we have a website owner and she makes her own designer handbags. So suppose she has a little e-commerce website. We can see she's got a basic 3-column WordPress post here. She's typed up some product copy in the middle, and her pricing and buy button and sidebar navigation are all set up. So that's good, but she still needs an image for her product, of course. So she pulls out her digital camera and takes a picture of her handbag. And then she drags the image into the WordPress Media Library, and WordPress presents her with the typical attachment details form. Now, herein lies the problem. Very few WordPress users actually really understand what all of this information means here on the right. A lot of people are familiar with a couple fields, but almost no one you meet understands them all. So because of this, what you'll often see is the site owner will learn a little bit about SEO, and then they think that if they fill in all of these fields with keyword optimized text, then they are helping their page somehow, that they are in some way increasing the SEO viability of their web page. So at least typing some text here is better than typing nothing. But let's take a moment now and actually explain exactly what all this information means and exactly how to prepare and SEO optimize images in WordPress. If you can understand the next few minutes, then you're well on your way to nurturing a much deeper understanding of WordPress SEO. And this is important because adding images to a post is probably the most commonly used WordPress feature. So let's begin. I'll place our website owner's first attempt on the left, and on the right, we're going to fix it. We'll identify the problems and show you the proper way to use this form. Okay, problem number 1. Our user actually started off with a common mistake. Look at her image file name, 100_1623.jpg. Digital cameras will use a standard numbering convention to name your picture file name. So when you snap a photograph, your camera will usually just give it a numerical name like this. Now that's not good because these numbers here are meaningless. So before even uploading her image, she should have changed the file name to something descriptive of the photographic subject itself, like beige-designer-handbag.jpg. Proper image SEO starts with optimizing the image file name first, before you even upload the file to your website. Okay, problem number 2. Look at the file size and dimensions of this image. It has a file size of 4 megabytes and dimensions of 4,920 by 3,264 pixels. That is huge, but that's about the size we'd expect from a recently purchased digital camera. But the problem is you almost never want to upload an image of this size to the internet. We went over this previously in the image optimization video. Before uploading her image, she should have used an image editor like Photoshop or GIMP or Pixlr. These last two programs are free. And she should have reduced the size of her image and optimized the JPEG quality for the web. Product pictures are almost never 4,000 pixels wide. They're rarely over 1,000 pixels wide. So here we can see I've fixed the image. I've downsampled it down to 800 by 531 pixels, and our file size now is only 75 kilobytes, less than 1/40th of its previous size. So now the image will load a lot faster for our users, and that's important because, as many studies have shown, you lose customers for every second your customers have to wait for your website content to load. So never upload an image directly from your camera. They're almost always way too big. Okay, next issue. Let's take a look at these two fields, the title field and the description field. These two fields are pretty confusing because when you go to insert this image into your post, whatever text you type here doesn't actually show up on your post. So why are they here? The content from these two fields is used in a very specific location in WordPress called the WordPress attachment page. A lot of WordPress users aren't very familiar with this page because it's usually just not very useful for the majority of websites. But to get a look at this page, you can actually click the bottom link titled View Attachment Page here, and that will open the URL of your WordPress attachment page. Here's what it looks like in the default WordPress theme. Scattered around the page, we have the title and description text, as well as some other boring data. So the question to ask yourself is this: what is this page good for? And the answer is nothing. Many WordPress theme designers don't even bother to code this page. Here's the thing: in the vast majority of web business models, you typically never want a user to land on a page like this. Why? Because notice what's missing from this page. There's no navigational components, there's no post content, and most importantly, there is no buy button on this page. Remember our initial goal. Our initial goal was to add a product image to our product page. Ultimately, we want to convert search engine traffic into customers on our website. We want people to see our quality designer handbag and then click the buy button. So on this website, is there ever even a conceivable case in which we would want visitors to land on our image attachment page? Let's put them side by side. We'll place the WordPress attachment page on the left and our product post page on the right. So ask yourself, if you were doing e-commerce on this website, would you want Google to send your incoming web visitors directly to your attachment page or to your post page? I think the answer is pretty clear. We want our customers to land on our actual product post page. Of course, we almost never want our potential customers landing on a page with no action steps on it. Hence, for this web business model, for most web business models, the WordPress attachment page is useless at best, and at worst, by utilizing it, we're losing money. So you should seriously consider setting WordPress attachments to no index if you haven't already. But back to our attachment details screen. The question was, what do we type in these two fields here? And the answer is absolutely nothing. Our user doesn't want anyone landing on her attachment page, so she doesn't need these fields. In this web business, no one will ever see this content, so there's no reason to type the content. The vast majority of websites don't need any information here at all. Okay, next one. Next up is the caption. So the text in this field is typically rendered directly below the image itself on your post. So from an SEO perspective, this is important because the search engines will attempt to associate the image with any text that is proximate to it, giving special emphasis to the nearest text and the page title. And from a usability perspective, from a human perspective, the caption is important because readers have a tendency to read the text that is located directly below an image. It's commonly stated that image captions are read 300% more than your article body content. This number gets tossed around a lot, and I'm not sure where it came from. It might have been from advertising exec David Ogilvy, who did a lot of research on writing effective copy in the mid-1900s. But in any case, this caption phenomenon is pretty well known. So just be aware that whatever you type here has a high probability of actually being read by your potential customers. Your web visitor might ignore everything else on your page except your image caption. So use this box to create an appealing and easily digestible descriptive sentence or two. And last but not least, the image alt text field. Whatever you type here will be used in the infamous alt attribute of the image HTML tag. So historically, the alt attribute has been used to describe the image contents to people with vision disabilities, people who can't see the image for whatever reason. And since search engine robots are basically blind as well, at least up until quite recent AI advances, they use this attribute to get an idea of the image contents too. So here, you would want to type a keyword-rich phrase that precisely describes the image, using about 5 to 10 words or so. You can see here I've written designer purse with ivory buckles and 2 pockets on the side. Notice that this is the kind of phrase someone might type directly into Google. And whether this user is doing a typical Google search or a Google image search, we use a descriptive keyword-optimized phrase here to let both the search engine robots and the human users know exactly what sort of product we're selling and where to find it on our website. That's the whole point of SEO, and this is just one of the many training tips in the upcoming SEO box.